vehicle is beyond the reach of our comprehensions, but anyone who sees or hears the sutra shall come nearer to enlightenment. The expounder is the Buddha in his eternity. The expounded is the Buddha is his truth. And the letters that compose the sutra are all in all the Buddha in his manifestations. All the excellent merit incalculable are concentrated in his wonderful sutra. By this, it saves all beings, employing all mysteries and wonders. All being wise or unwise shall expel their sin, acquire their good. All beings believing or even slandering the teaching shall attain their Buddhahood through this sutra. This sutra is the most wonderful, most excellent, taught by the Buddha of the past, present, and the future. May we meet that receive this sutra birth after birth, world after world. The Buddha have appeared in this world to purify all beings by having them open the treasury of the Buddha wisdom, which they are unaware of possessing within themselves. The Buddha have appeared in this world to show the Buddha wisdom to them. The Buddha have appeared in this world to have them understand what the Buddha wisdom is. The Buddhas have appeared in this world to lead them into the path of Buddha wisdom. The triple world is unsafe. Like a burning house, it is full of sufferings, of dreadful sufferings indeed. There are four major sufferings: birth, old age, disease, and death. The fire of these sufferings is incessantly burning. The Tathagata has already retired from the burning house, this world, and is living tranquilly in the peaceful field of enlightenment. The whole of the triple world is my domains all. All beings living therein are my 来同志ボードナム日蓮大語だ大東道場知見召喚如来集むるところの功徳を祝っては一点司会会奇妙法末法万年情報苦渋光線路ワクワクの功徳をもってあまねく一切に及ぼし我ら同志上と皆共に仏道を上善ことをO Buddha Buddha Shakyamuni, the supremely awakened one, the most honored one, and the self-enlightened one. Here we are gathered in thy presence with the deepest reverence and adoration in our hearts. We put all our heart trust in thee. In thy universal wisdom and in thy everlasting compassions. And we do honestly resolve to be good Buddhists and follow the holy path you have shown us, so that we may, like thyself, attain the supreme enlightenment. Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to talk tonight a little more about suchness. Suchness is the essential nature of the universe, including you and everything. Buddha also. Buddha is called Tathagata, which means suchness come to this world. So Buddha is the suchness. All other beings, the human beings, or living beings, or non-living beings too, all existences in this whole universe is such. We have many different terms of suchness. Buddha is another. And enlightenment, nirvana, or wisdom, karuna or compassion, dhammatha, or buddhatha, Buddha nature, buddhatha, or dhamma dhatu, parinissippanna, that is complete perfect nature, or middle path. We have many different terms, but it is same meaning, which is pure nature or enlightened nature. Just like a Buddha saw it, saw everything as the Tathagata. But the people have many defiled views or partial views or selfish views or understanding in their mind. That's why they cannot see the true nature of the things, even true nature of themselves. Buddha, shown us or expounded us to find out on true nature. That is true Buddhism. But only very few people can do that because they are very strongly cling to their own idea. For instance, realism, dualism, and self-centric idea, or individualism. We have many, many biased views in our human world. That's why the Buddha spent many, many years, almost a half century, he spent all his life and explained what was the true nature of this world, what was the suchness nature of this world, what was the enlightened nature of enlightenment of this world. Now that was a Buddhism. Buddhism is not only the being free, to make the people to be free from their suffering. That is only partial, purpose. True partial, meaning of the Buddhism is understand true nature of the self and or others. That is, purpose of the Buddhism. Some people only wish to get some profit or merit. That is very selfish idea. We must, tell others, please find out your true nature, enlightened nature, tathata nature, pure nature. So if they find out this true nature of self, they can find out true nature of the whole universe. Self and universe must be one, not separate two things. If we can find out the true nature of this book, we can also find out true nature of this and this, everything. So that is point, main point. You must find out your true nature of yourself. That is everything. Because at that time you can find out true nature of everything in the whole universe. Okay? I explained in the past time, many times in the past, but I like to explain again and again. And if you ask me some question, I like to explain. I have many materials, but I could show you. Yes. Yeah, I like to show you this one first, because I show you twice in the past. But I have no, time to explain so well. Oh, thank you. Will you? Thank you. Yes, this is a part of Nagarjuna's Madhyamika Karikas. It is the birth of middle path of Nagarjuna, the most famous scholar in India. He was born 150 about, and he was most famous scholar after the Buddha. He said that in chapter 20, just a minute, chapter 24 and number 18. He said everything in existence arises according to dependent origination. This dependent origination is a quite, particular theory in Buddhism. We have no such theory in anywhere in the whole universe. Okay? So this is a very, very good theory, but it is only upaya, not the truth. Of course, it has many contradictions. It is only, upaya is method or devices, tactful means to educate the, undeveloped mind. So this is very good, this theory. This is theory, devices. He said like this, the dependent origination. This is, I like to explain a little more, about this. Many people understand everything exists by itself, independently. That is wrong. Flower exists by itself, and this instrument exists by itself. It has a nature, it has a characteristics, it has substance, activities, values, everything. No. This is kind of a realistic point of view. This realistic realism is all undeveloped thought. But the most, 99% of the people have this kind of fixed point of view. So they have suffering. They have that barriers or hindrances. They are not so free. They are just enchained or bound by their ignorances. That's why people are so, struggling in their life. If they understand this theory, everything is everything exists according to that in the law of dependent origination. Everything helping each other. Flower and light are helping each other. Otherwise, flower doesn't grow. Flower and water are helping each other. Flower does not exist without air, sunlight, or water, or human beings, or other insects, not exist without flower, without, earth, without human beings. But, most of human thinking and the human beings understand this is it, complete. It is actual being, existence. This is a very foolish idea. So, Buddha, spent many, many years to explain this, truth. And he wanted to remove human concrete, standpoint, a concrete view. Otherwise, they cannot understand, tranquility, peaceful, nature of the things. People only see, oh, this is good color, seeing color. Color is only, that's a feeling, but most of people do not know that. Flower has a color. No, flower has no color. But still, most of people are just like a kindergarten kids. So everything has their own nature. No nature, no nature, no substance, no reality anywhere. But this is a very easy fact, simple fact. But very, very few people can understand that. They are very childish. So, I, spend many times. I started this kind of lecture here since February, beginning of February. Already, let's say 8 months or 9 months have passed. But many, very few people could understand, this kind of laws or theories. Anyway, he said, Nagarjuna said, that everything arises according to dependent origination. This exists, therefore that exists. When this does not exist, that does not exist. When this disappears, that disappears. When for instance, when I die, you die, everybody, with me. Because death and life are the relative concept. Death, a concept of death, death does not appear by itself in our mind. Concept of death appears in our mind with the concept of birth or life. There is no death without life. There is no life without death. They are one thing, but who knows that? This is light. Light and darkness must be one. But the people do not understand. They are quite different, independent things. When the light exists, darkness does not exist. When darkness exists, light does not exist. This is ordinary, very common, human ignorance. But it is not true. There is no light in darkness, as you know. There is no light in darkness. There is no darkness in the light. And also, okay, light does not reach to the darkness. How the light, destroy the darkness? It doesn't reach to the light. No, light doesn't reach to darkness. When light reaches to the darkness, there is no darkness anywhere. Darkness and the light are one, relative idea. Just like east and west. This is very easy, everybody knows, west and east. It is, those two are quite opposite. But it is not opposite. It must be relative. But the people do not understand this kind of relativity. This relativity is quite different from Einstein's relativity. Einstein's relativity is a realistic relativity. Now, Buddhist relativity is emptiness relativity. So, Einstein's relativity and Buddhist relativity are quite different. In Buddhism, we call it dependency, not relativity. Dependency is, dependent on each other. Everything depends on one another and each other, like that. One thing. There is no separated things in the whole universe. No one can exist by itself. No. Even you cannot exist alone by yourself. No. You have relatives, you have a friend, you have ancestors, descendants, or you have a house, you have food. No? So, whole universe must be yours. We have many, so I have not so enough time, to explain all. And number two, we regard it as emptiness. Even, these things is empty. It has no matter. Do you think this stick has a matter? No. Matter is your concept, your judgment, your understanding. Ask him. Do you have something? Are you something? It will say nothing. So it has no answer. Only man has an answer. No or yes are either. But both are mistaken. Okay? Affirmation and negation, both are false. Only you understand affirmatively or negatively. That is human misjudgment. Human mind is very stupid. They cling to their own habitual, thinking. Therefore, they have many own, personal, mistaken, defiled ideas in their judgment. Okay, we have if you have a question, I have very many way of explanation. People say everything is empty. Empty means everything has no self-nature or self-existences, self-belonging to the self. For instance, I always use this flower. Flower is very good, This is a wonderful flower. We cannot explain it is good or beautiful. Beautiful is This one is not the beautiful. It is beyond beautiful. Because beauty is a human feeling, human emotion. Belong to the human side. The beauty does not belong to this flower. Color of this flower does not belong to this flower. Smell does not belong to flower. And form, appearances does not belong to this flower. It has no characteristics. It has no activities. That's why we call it empty. Empty means nothing, no self-nature. All characteristics or substances or activity belonging to the human judgment, human concept. If you stop thinking, it has nothing. Okay? It is free from anything. It has no self-nature, no characteristics, no substance, no activities, no values, no form, no matter, everything. So we call it empty. This empty is a human concept, of course. So it is theory, Buddha's theory. Buddha, why Buddha established this kind of theory? Because many people have a complete, fixed idea. So, they always misunderstand everything. So Buddha, showed them the flower. It has no nature, no substance. So, you must abandon, throw all your, thinking or knowledge of this flower. This knowledge is beyond, yes, sir.
That would apply to yourself and to me also.
Yes, sir. Every human being also. I have no self, no self, no, how to say, characters, no character, no nature, and no name, no body, no mind, no relatives, and nothing.
So it seems like my mind only can get in touch with appearances, and the mind itself is like an appearance, like fraught on a wave, just
floating.
Yeah,
Floating idea.
fraught. It's like suds, bubbles.
Yeah, bubbles. Yeah, like a bubble.
Right.
Yeah, we have many. Buddha said in many sutras, the Diamond Sutras or Lankavatara Sutras or Mahaprana Paramita Sutras, he said that everything is like a form, like a bubble, like a phantom, like echoes, like a morning dew, morning like lightning. He said many ways, which means everything has no permanent nature. Think of this flower. It's changing so rapidly. I told you last time too. It doesn't stop either, even very short moment. Buddha said, everything is impermanent.
It's such as.
Yeah, that's why we call it such. That's why. Now, suchness is, two, that's a nature. One is very transient, changeable. Always it is changing. So it has no nature.
empty. But empty, but it is very pretty. Emptiness is not empty. Emptiness is empty. So,
Emptiness is such as
yeah, emptiness is such a very, you are very intuitive. I wanted to explain so. Everything is, like this. This is called phenomenal existence. It looks a real existence, but that is human, way of thinking. It has no nature, no matter, no activities, no characteristics, no appearance, no color, no smell, so it must be empty. If it's empty, why we can see it? But our seeing is not real. When we see the rainbow, rainbow is not a real existence. When we move, rainbow is moving with me. So color is not actual beings. So color, when we analyze or spread color on one light, we see 7 colors. Sometimes 300 different colors. We can go to a paint store and ask some color. They show us, about the 1,000 different color book. What color you want? I cannot differ. Color is so many, but we may make them together to become white light. So it is a human judgment. Color is a human feeling. There is no color outside. It is, the very small currency of the electricity. So it is empty. It is nothing. It is shunyata. So, I think that the gentleman is very smart, wise, because everything is, everything visible, tangible, things are empty, but not empty. There is no empty thing in anywhere. Empty thing is this. This is, visible things, unchangeable, conditional, beings. But all conditional being is empty, but not empty, not conditional. Then we call it suchness. Such is as such, as this. Everything is as we observe it. But we observe it not real, not unreal. Everything is beyond human grasping. Is it? This point is very difficult. Buddha said in the all sutras, my teaching is very difficult to understand. But you are the Buddha. So it is difficult for the people, ordinary people, dualistic people. For them it's very difficult. But it is, very easy, very natural for the Buddha. Because it is the point of view of the Buddha. Yes, sir.
So the middle path is like the no path. It's
Very good, sir.
It's like
yes, sir.
There's nothing for me to do but sit back and relax.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And just let it be,
Yeah.
you know.
Middle path is no path. That is a neutral path. If there is a path, we must go there. But no path, we can go anywhere. This is the middle path. This is the middle path. There is no path. That is free. Yeah. So Buddha, when we study Buddhism, we must reach to the free, self, free path. That is true meaning of middle path, suchness. Everything is such. We cannot get out from suchness. Therefore, we cannot get into the realm of suchness. So, if you understand, you are called as a Buddha. Buddha always have this kind of understanding or point of view. You don't need any enlightenment anymore. You don't need any nirvana. You are the nirvana. Where you are living is nirvanic. Nirvana means is tranquility. Tranquility means no more existence, no more non-existence, no more affirmation, no more negation. Negation and affirmation is only, done, that's discriminated by the ignorant people. Wise man never discriminate anything. East and west is everywhere. But the ignorant people always say, this is the east, this is west. So, east is everywhere, west is everywhere. That's why there is no east, no west, anywhere. We must know that. Some people wish to attain to enlightenment, nirvana, or Buddhahood. Those people are still dualistic. They have no peaceful mind. They have no wisdom. Okay? If you understand oneness, everything must be one. One Buddha vehicle. That is only, the true vehicle or true teaching. There is no Hinayana, no Mahayana. Everything must be, everything is oneness, suchness. No Buddhism anywhere. Some people are like Buddhism, Buddhism is a so wonderful teaching, no teaching. There is no teaching in Buddhism. We must go beyond the teaching. Teaching is only upaya, tactful means. We shouldn't stay in the teaching. That's why I like to explain. Everybody. I'm so glad that so many people can understand. This Nagarjunas. Nagarjunas are very pleased. Yes, he's somewhere. He's in Omandala. He's here. Nagarjuna is here. Name is here. Okay, the emptiness, what is emptiness? But it is a phenomenal reality. Emptiness itself is a phenomenal reality. By virtue of appearances, people, see the appearance. But that appearance is not flowers appearance or objective appearance. It must be subjective, own, concept. own concept. Own concept is not real actual beings. World is own concept. This is Hegel's idea. Hegel's idea is very, very interesting. Very close to the Buddhistic idea. Only in the process. But final point is very realistic, very egocentric. That's why he must be insane. Many people said, the Hegel was insane. But the idea, his theory was very wonderful. Everything is, my idea, my concept. Universe is my concept. Sun, moon, stars, all are my concept. God is my concept. Virtue is my concept. Truth is my concept. Eternity is my concept. Good is my concept. So, world belongs to me, my possession. Where's my? What was the Hegel himself? He didn't know that. That was only his concept. He didn't know, He himself was his concept. He didn't know that. That's why people said he was, insane. How say? Big dreamer. Okay, but it is a phenomenal reality, that when we see the appearance. But that appearance is on, the observer's judgment, misjudgment. So there is no reality anywhere. There is no emptiness anywhere. We must stay anywhere, stay up, or stay on anywhere. So that is free, flexible, mind. That is enlightenment. Flexible mind. No one can bind it, bind our mind. Truth does not bind our mind. That is so I pictured, this is the phenomenal reality. Everything is Prajapati. Prajapati. That is, it's not, Paramita's idea. It came from Ge Jinmitsu Kyo is in Sanskrit term is I forgot the Sanskrit term, but anyway, this is only it looks like a reality. But it is deceptive, deceiving nature of the being. Like a flower. Flower looks like really, it has a color, beautiful color, good smell, good shape, and good cost too. So people think it is wonderful beings, very costly things, valuable things. But that is a deceptive, nature. Only foolish people can be deceived. Wise men never be deceived by the dream or phantom or temporary, appearances.
Did you say the Prajapati was the same as the Prajaparamita?
No. This is Prajapati. Prajapati. This is conditional things. There's a Paratantra. Same thing. Paratantra. Tantra is para is a dependent. Cause. Dependent on causes. All effect depend on causes. That is causation. Everything appears like this by the causation, which means that dependent origination. That is causation. But truly, if I say it frankly, truly, everything is not a product of causation. Causation theory is only devices in Buddhism. There is no appearance anywhere. There is no existence anywhere. There is no non-existence anywhere. So some people know that, this kind of truth. So Buddha taught another kind of types of that theory or teaching, doctrines. That was the concept only. Theory of concept only. So everything, Buddha said, everything is concept. Concept is another concept. There is no things anywhere. Self is concept. Others are concept. Affirmation is concept. Negation is concept. East and West both are concept. Good or evil, both are concept. So there is no things without concept. And the concept is another concept. So there is no, that's a reality anywhere. That is, a very, very good theory. This kind of theory is, better than causation theory. Okay, I like to explain this more. This one. This is because this is very important. This is a phenomenal reality. We see, all over, visible, existence. But there is no things anywhere because everything has no self-nature. We cannot conceive it. We cannot grasp it. We cannot talk, anything to others. Inexplicable. That is the nature of emptiness. Okay? But emptiness does not exist anywhere. It is only conceptual. So, not this, not that. This is the middle path. We call it the middle path and suchness, oneness, dhamma, that, or dhammatha. Buddhata. We have many different names. But you cannot grasp it. You cannot try to understand. If you grasp it, it becomes an illusion because it becomes a concept. Okay? shouldn't, grasp it, to understand it. All human understanding are illusion. I'm so sorry to say so. But this is Buddha's teaching. Okay? So, these three are one. Okay? Not yes. If someone understands suchness, oh, I like suchness. Suchness is so, perfect, a free idea. No, that is not free anymore. No? Don't grasp anything. Okay? Human understanding is human, conceptualization. That's why let them, be by themselves. We shouldn't. Everything is such. Everything is such. Like, as that. As it is. As that is. As such is. As they are such. So that is the true aspect, true nature of everything in the whole universe. Universe itself is such. This universe, Buddha comes to our human, dualistic, realistic realms. So we call him Tathata or Tathagata. Tasa is such. Agata is come. Tasa Agata is such comes. Such come is also such go. Tasata is such go. Come and go are same thing. Okay, this is please, any question in this 3 point of view? This is Tendai's, very fundamental doctrine of Tendai. Nichiren, I belong to Nichiren, my father too. So I studied, this kind of things, very well. That's why I like to explain to you. When you understand this mandala is the perfect world, picture of the perfect enlightened world. This is suchness realms. So I need this kind of fundamental doctrines. Okay, I copy from other sutras. This is very good sutra. Oh, thank you, Baba. Yeah, but this is. Okay, thank you. Okay, I explained last time the part of this complete enlightenment sutra. But this is also very, very good one. So I like to explain. Complete is perfect enlightenment. We call Engakukyo. Number one, after is complete enlightenment, and that his is Buddha Shakyamuni. But I have to explain little bit about the Buddha. We have two kinds of Buddhas, or three kinds of Buddhas. The most of people understand that Buddha was a man who was born in India, 564 BC. And he was enlightened under the Bodhi tree when he was 35. That was his equal enlightenment. That was his understanding, apprehension or comprehension was the suchness or true aspect of the all beings. But it is only phenomenal, Buddha, like a flower. He was visible. He was the same, shape of the human being. He died. No more, the Gautama Buddha anywhere. He taught many, Buddhism. He passed away at the age of 80. That was a human Buddha we call Nirvana Kaya of Buddha. Same Buddha, of course. At that time, we are the same Buddha. We are same, human beings. We are a little stupid. But stupid and wiseness are no difference. No? It is only mental state. True nature are the same thing. Because we have no nature. He had no nature, empty. Therefore, what the difference? Empty of human being and empty of Gautama Buddha. Both are empty. That's why he was the suchness, Tathata. We are Tathata too, but we don't know we are Tathata. That's the difference. What the difference? We know it, we don't know it. It is only illusion, difference of illusion. Knowing is only illusion, the concept. Difference of concept is not the real difference. So Buddha and all human beings and all other sentient beings are the same quality, same abilities, same nature. We have to understand it. If you wish to understand Buddhism, we must understand that. So, that Buddha said in the Lotus Sutra, many human beings and heavenly beings and Ashura, in the heavenly being, understand that I was born in India and I got enlightened under the Bodhi tree, but it is not true. I was enlightened. I was enlightened, beginningless beginning, with all beings. That is my true nature of Dhammakaya Buddha. This is Dhammakaya. So most of people do not know that. Buddha is only a human Buddha. Just like a flower is only a flower, is open in the flower, in the garden, or in the bank, in the forest. Everywhere is temporary, conditional flower, phenomenal flower. It decays. It must be gone. It doesn't stay even one small moment. Changing by changing after changing. So we cannot understand it. You can wish to understand flower, but you can't. You don't know what flower is. Even you don't know who are you, what are you. Human mind is so, superficial, less powerful, very shallow. But they have, I know everything. But only that is big illusion. So this is only Nirmanakaya of the Buddha. We must know that Sambhogakaya is compassion body of the Buddha. Everywhere we can see it. We can see the compassion, Nirmanakaya of Buddha here. We can see the Dhammakaya, wisdom body of the Buddha in this flower. Everything has the three kind of bodies. Some are visible, some are invisible. Only we can see with our mind, with our wisdom, with our feeling, compassion. Okay, do you have any questions so far? This is very good for you. He was enlightened, complete enlightened under the Bodhi tree. He exclaimed himself. It is wonderful that all living beings possesses a Tathagata's nature or wisdom, which they are unable to experience solely because of their false thinking and clinging. Just I said to you a few minutes ago, people do not know their own enlightened nature, own tranquil nature, because human mind is always dualistic. That comes from caused by the past karmic experiences, karmic life, past conduct, past experiences. They have a very, very strong, habitual power, habitual tendency. That's why their mind is very, sticky, attachable. So very stupid too. But from the point of view of the Buddha, at that time he was enlightened because he saw all other surrounding things was so, marvelous, splendid, wonderful thing. Everything is perfect and tranquil, enlightened. At that moment, he was enlightened. So his enlightenment is not a personal enlightenment. He himself attained to the peaceful world. Oh, that is no meaning. Better to die. When we go to die, we become peaceful mind. No worry, no attachment, no ignorance, no anger, no suspicion, no conceit. So, world is so quiet. This kind of, tranquility is not actual, real tranquility. It is only conceptual tranquility. Real tranquility is whatever we do, wherever we go, the whole universe is tranquil. Even, that in the war, in the fighting, in the dying, in the, disease, among the sick man, no, we have no suffering. Some people, very understand emotionally. This, we must stop, fighting. When there is no fighting, it must be a peaceful world, to come. But it is not true. There is no peace without how say, strife. There is no peace without war or anger or stupidity or greed or suspicion. All human passion itself must be peaceful because it is suchness. But the Buddha did not talk so. At the first, if he said like this, everything is suchness, but most of people misunderstood his teaching. Because people have dualistic idea, realistic idea, very conceived idea, proudness. So if they hear, oh, I am a Buddha, I am enlightenment, I am enlightened, so I don't need to do anything. This is the human mind. So Buddha never taught like this. At the first, he said, don't greed. Greed is the largest vice. You must, be free. You must be free from greed or desires and passions and ignorance, attachment and illusions, and that's many the partial way of thinking. Then you can have a very quiet, mild, peaceful mind, sincere mind. Then your mind, become peaceful. When your mind become peaceful, world become peaceful. That was the Buddha's, teaching. That was beginning, for the beginner. But when people understood that, and their mind have no self, proudness, and no conceited mind. Those people, to those people, he taught, the true nature of anger and greed and conceit, suspicion, all kind of passions are the suchness. That is peacefulness. That is a tranquil mind, tranquility. It is enlightenment. He told us so. That some people, so confused. So went out to the Buddha's place. 5,000 of bhikkhu and bhikkhuni stood up and saluted the Buddha and retired from his, assemblage. Why? Because they misunderstood conceited people, thought they had already, the enlightened, attained to the nirvana, peaceful mental state. But really, it was not so. They are still, conceived strong, the self-loving idea, self-affection. So Buddha couldn't, tell them that, everything is enlightened. Buddha did not talk to them, the ignorant people, you are the Buddha. Never said so. Last teaching in the Lotus Sutra, he said, you are not different from me. You are the Buddha. I have no nature like you because you have no nature. You are empty, I am empty. This emptiness is called such, Buddha nature. So people understood it. So, many disciples cried to hear that. I didn't know that was Buddhism. I thought Buddhism was just, purified our mind and, uproot our greed and anger and, suspicion. But now Buddha taught us the true nature. We are the Buddha. We can't believe. At that time Buddha said, you can't. Buddha knows that. But only you better believe my words. So this, belief is can take the place of true understanding. Belief is better than understanding. I think it's very difficult. Understanding is still conceptualization. Conceptualization never attains to true enlightenment. So many people come to my place and ask me, I have no attachment anymore. I have no things anymore, because I have non-self. So I have no, worry anymore, no suffering anymore. Is this a true enlightenment? He said. He asked me. But I said no. This kind of enlightenment is only conceptual enlightenment. It is only knowledge of enlightenment. True enlightenment is stop your thinking, stop your mind. All your understanding is, defiled and, and false, and barrier, untrue. Yeah. You are everything, all mental state, activities, all conduct must be enlightened. If you do not understand, we have to explain, we must clean up your mind. You to say, to hear dualistic theory or teaching, doctrine more. But it is very difficult, I think. Any question, please? Okay, next one, number 2. He then taught them to keep from illusions, so that their inherent wisdom could manifest itself and destroy the veil of ignorance that hid their Buddha nature and caused their unnecessary suffering. Unnecessary suffering is delusive suffering. All suffering must be illusion. You have no suffering anywhere, in any time. Suffering is a big illusion. Suffering does not belong to you. So you cannot possess suffering. How about happiness? How about you have no suffering? No? But only children like ice cream. No? Because it is very good taste. People like it, and our children like it. But ice cream is not so good. Mother knows that. So, that happiness is very deceptive. Only ignorant people like it. Peace is also very deceptive. Don't like peace. You are peaceful from the beginning. This world is peaceful from the beginning. Don't discriminate. Discrimination is stupidity. Okay, number 3, virtuous man. Buddha always said, call the disciples virtuous man, virtuous woman, like that. All hindrances are identical with the nature of ultimate enlightenment. Okay, this is very important. All hindrances, this is greed and stupidity and illusions, all hindrances are not different from the ultimate enlightenment. Okay? The immutable and wandering mind is always movement, moving mind, not steady mind. Liberation. Even we have any kind of mind, suspicion, or angry mind, and conceited mind, jealousy mind, that is called, a moving mind. Is not different from liberation, emancipated mind. But dualistic mind never understand this one. Okay? Human mind never understand it. Only, upper than bodhisattva. Okay, both creation and annihilation. Creation is make the thing to be fact. How to say? Create is not creation and creationism. some super power, supernatural power created beings. We have many theory in the whole universe. Christianity, in the Hinduism, we have many, this kind of same idea. But it is good, a good theory, though. We shouldn't negate, oppose. This is good fire. Some people need this kind of fire. We don't say, other things. Some people like to believe, creationism. It is okay. And uncreation, that is annihilation, we call. For instance, nirvana, enlightenment, suchness is annihilation, kind of, or mui we call, purposeless. It is not created. Creation is a product of the causation, dependent origination. Suchness is not created Dharma, created nature. Suchness is such. We have no causes, no effect. Everything, instantly such. So both creation and annihilation are the nirvana. Nirvana is tranquil, tranquility. So everything is enlightened, tranquility, quietness. That is nature of universe and also nature, true nature of the individuality or individuals. Any questions so far, please? Yes, Otan.
If you could talk a little bit more about belief. Belief, it seems to me, is you can believe in nationalism or you can believe in idol worship. You can belief seems to be you say believe in Buddhism. It seems to me that belief, you can believe in anything, and you can believe in that tree. And it seems like with belief by itself is maybe very dangerous without some understanding. That they seem to must kind of go together. Just belief can be very blind, it seems to me. And so I was wondering if you could just comment on it.
I think so. I agree with you. Belief is sometimes very dangerous without reason, without a true understanding. What is a true understanding, Bob? Do you know what is a true understanding? Is there any true understanding?
No, I don't understand.
Okay. So we have no true understanding. So how do we understand it?
So then it's belief. I understand that belief is higher than
Yeah,
understanding.
yeah,
But without qualifying
that's
it,
right.
it becomes very dangerous.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
Without,
That's true. But the emotional belief, no, this belief is not an emotional. Yes, sir.
See, the problem with belief comes when you think you have understanding. That's
Yeah.
when you have a problem with belief.
That's right.
Because you think you understand something and believe it. That's
Yes, sir.
when
Yes, sir.
that starts to interfere.
Yes, sir. So they know, that understanding is impossible. So how do they understand or understand? No way of understanding, comprehension. Or what is comprehend? That is conceptual. So we have another kind of understanding. That is emotional. I trust you. I trust your saying.
you mean by belief?
Yeah. You know, belief is nam. We say nam. Nam is a Sanskrit term. Om, nam, you know, both are Sanskrit. You know, that we are translated into English. It is put, we trust. Trust.
That's such another dualistic idea. It's so dualistic that it would be better to not even deal with belief, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I
You
know.
don't have to know anything, and you don't have to believe anything
Yeah.
either.
Okay. Then, do you think there is no understanding?
I don't know.
Okay. Understanding is dualistic.
You know, I understand it's dualistic.
Yeah. All understanding are dualistic. So, you know, we have two kinds of understanding. One is reasonable, you know, understanding, or logical understanding. The other is emotional understanding. You know, children always, you know, that believe, trust their mother. Okay, mother, you know, don't do that. You know? Then they stop. They don't know. Some kids, why it is why? No, stop me. Anyway, stop. The mother said, yes. Follow, you know. Kids follow. That is emotional.
But it seems contradictory to say that that the dualism is illusion.
Yes.
And then to say that that belief is not illusion. I mean, belief is another illusion.
Yeah, that of course, belief is another illusion. You know, so you don't need to believe anything. Okay, so you are enlightened.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's
So
good to
it
know.
is okay. You don't need to believe, of course. You know, but you know that this no, in the Lotus Sutra, the chapter 2, the Buddha taught to the Shariputra, his disciple. Shariputra thought he was Hinayanan, Shiravaka. Shiravaka is Arahat. Arahat is he had no more craving, attachment. And so therefore, he had no more suffering, and he was so free, from anything. But he had one, hindrance or how to say, one hindrances. That was he had attained. He thought he had attained to the nirvana.
Yeah, because he had a concept of nirvana.
Yeah, he didn't know that. But that was his, the belief. Belief and understanding are very, very, difficult to how to say, differentiate. Because human mind must be one, and nowhere. We temporarily divide. Our mind has three kinds of activities. One is reasonable, and one emotional, and willpower. Will and that's reason and emotion. These three kind of activities. But it is not true. Many philosophers, even Kant, Kant, this kind of idea. But mind is so complicated. we cannot discriminate our mind. You know, today's psychology is the worst. In my understanding, people we cannot observe in our mind, or even our conduct. Today's psychology is science. People observe human behaviors, so they imagine, oh, this person has this kind of behaviors, so he has this kind of how say that tendency or mental state, or kind of dispositions, or some frustration. But that is very difficult to say that. That's because each person has a different experiences, different natures. There is no same person in the whole universe. All individuals are quite different. There is no sameness at all. This person's, that behavior, and this person's behavior are not the same. That's how we call is, that is the science of behavior. Modern psychology is called the science of behavior, especially American, psychology. This is very contradictory. Yeah. There is no mind anywhere. Do you have mind? Psyche, there is no psyche. No one has psyche. Psyche is only conditional. Okay? Conditional means when time is different, when individual subject is different, when circumstances different, all are different. There is no same things happens in the whole universe. No.
So the best you can say out of all this is that you don't know. If you say I don't know,
Yeah.
that's the closest. I think that's closer to what you're telling us.
You don't know. I don't know.
Than belief, because as soon as you start believing, you have to know something that you want to believe.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if it's just better, I would think, to just to give up and say, I
Yeah,
don't know.
that is good. Yeah, that is one way. Yeah.
You can believe in not knowing. See, he's just saying the emotional aspect to not knowing is believing. You're sort of into not knowing. Like you really think that you can't know anything, so you believe that.
Well, it's closer to, because if everything is illusion and everything is non-dual ultimately, then and if we have to stop the dualism, then we just say, then you just have to come to the point where you just don't make any distinctions. When you're not making any distinctions, the only thing you can say is nothing, and then which is virtually saying I don't know.
Okay.
With gusto. I mean, can't you just say, I don't know? And
Yeah.
sort of be really happy about it.
Don't have.
I don't mean like.
So
Don't
then
have,
you-
don't have too much annihilation, Nihilism. Yeah, you know everything from the beginning. So this is only upaya. Upaya means devices. Okay. Buddha, this person, what is missing or lacking of this person? He needs something. It's reliability. With to depending. That so the Shariputra was disciple. He listened to the Buddha's teaching for almost 40 years. But he never heard this kind of things, that you are Buddha. saw, he was so surprised. I thought, the Buddha taught me, that to be free, being free from attachment or suffering, that is the true enlightenment or true nirvana. I practiced many long times, and I attained this kind of nirvana. But the Buddha, never praised me at me. And he said, that is not real nirvana. Nirvana is a distinction. And the same meaning to enlightenment. What is the final stage of Buddhism? That was, same enlightenment. Same enlightenment. That is Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. Being a Buddha. That is, final stages. Not to be free from, suffering. That is only selfish, the satisfaction. It is not Buddhism. So, true Buddhism is equal enlightenment. Everything are equally enlightened. So we can see your enlightenment, his enlightenment, her enlightenment, all enlightenment, all things. This is peacefulness. Everything is peaceful, enlightened, pure, happiness, universal, eternal. When we understand that at that time, this world become one world. Suchness is like this. So, Shariputra's enlightenment, nirvana, is only, that upaya, that is devices, tactful means. But he did not understand that.
I guess I don't either.
Oh, don't say that. now is, the Buddha is, everywhere. Okay, he is there, everybody is, Buddha. And, we are discussing the true Buddha nature. What is true Buddha nature? That is suchness. Suchness is one quality, one nature. You cannot get out. You cannot get in. It is the constant, permanent nature. Do you believe it?
Sure.
Okay.
I better.
Only believe to the Buddha's words. No other way. Of course, we can, doubt it. And I don't need to hear that, of course.
Well, I don't mean that not believing is doubt. I don't mean it that way. I don't believe that I doubt it.
Or you don't need to hear that.
No, not that I need to hear it or not to need to hear it.
Okay. Do you need? You don't need to believe it.
I don't need to believe it. No.
No. What is belief?
I don't know. After all this, I don't know.
Okay. We have more. Yeah. It is time, so I'm sorry. Okay. Next time, please. No more. Okay. Announce, please.
This is gonna be the last one for a while. We're gonna take a break for a few months, and we'll announce it when we start up again.
I'm sorry.
Then I believe it. This is the last one I believe it.
Thank you. I'm sorry to say, that I have to move my place, living place, next the middle of next month, and I have to prepare. And it comes to the end of years and also New Year's. So we like to start sometimes February or March next year. We are planning. But I don't know. If you wish to hear, I wish to come. So, please, Bob, will you contact me? When is best to start? All right, thank you very much. I'm so appreciated for coming. Thank you. Hi, how are you?
Do you ever give lectures or speak in San Francisco?
Now it's only Japanese.